What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we got some breaking news. As undefeated unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr., who is widely considered to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, with a record of 27 wins, no loss, no draws, 21 big wins by way of knockout, 31 years of age, 5'9.5", with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence, he'll be taking on Cuban star boxer, who's currently the World Boxing Association's welterweight super champion, that being none other than YORDENIS Ugas, in his next fight, which looks like is going to take place at late February, early March, maybe the middle of March, okay? In a unification bout. Obviously, Errol Spence, he holds the WBC, he holds the IBF, and YORDENIS Ugas, he holds the WBA, okay? YORDENIS Ugas, 27 wins, 4 losses, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'9", with a 69-inch arm reach, okay? What's strange to be that tall, he has very short arms, because if you look at it, 3-division world champion, superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis, who's only 5'5", he has a 67-inch arm reach, okay? And YORDENIS Ugas is 4 inches taller than Gervonta Tank Davis and only has a 69-inch arm reach. But more importantly, this is a mega fight, and it's going to lead us into the fight that the whole world is looking for, and that's the fight between Errol Spence Jr., his biggest rival, undefeated 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be top #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Crawford, who is 38 wins, no loss, no draws, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, 5'8", with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, that's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. So when this fight was announced, now if you know the backstory and the history between YORDENIS Ugas and Errol Spence, they initially had a fight, an agreement, and a deal in place to fight in February in the unification. This came about after YORDENIS Ugas defeated legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny "Pac-Man" Pacquiao, after Errol Spence was pulled from the fight against Manny Pacquiao, because initially Errol Spence was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao in the mega showdown in August 21st. But he suffered a broken detached retina, which saw YORDENIS Ugas replace Errol Spence in the fight against Manny Pacquiao, because he was the WBA regular champion, and he was elevated to the super champion after Manny Pacquiao's inactivity, after he defeated former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith "One-Time" Thurman, July of 2019. Okay, Manny Pacquiao was out the ring for 2 years. The WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza, they thought that and felt that Manny Pacquiao's inactivity, we're going through a global pandemic. Manny Pacquiao is a Senate over in his country, so it was a lot going on. He wasn't active for 2 years, and they placed him as champion in recess and elevated YORDENIS Ugas to the super champion. Well, everything fell into place for YORDENIS Ugas, because he had a very, very close, tough fight with Showtime Sean Porter, 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer who's now retired. And a lot of people thought that YORDENIS Ugas won the fight. I wasn't one of them. I thought Sean Porter won the fight. With that said, YORDENIS Ugas, he was elevated to champion, and Manny Pacquiao, he petitioned the WBA to be reinstated as the champion, the super champion, going into the fight with Errol Spence, so that way it could be a mega unification bout. So he got a lot of people, we thought that Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao was going to be a unification bout, but the WBA, they decided to stand on their decision and keep the fight as is, YORDENIS Ugas as the super champion. Now, Ugas was going to fight former world champion, superstar, Argentinian boxer Marcos El Chino Maidana. His younger brother, Fabian Maidana, is the co-main event, but Fabian Maidana, like Errol Spence, suffered an eye injury and was pulled from the fight. So everything worked out for Ugas, because the fans were starting to claim, and they were starting to, pressure YORDENIS Ugas and say, you're not a real champion, okay? The real champion is Manny Pacquiao. So everything fell into place for him. All the stars aligned, because he eventually got to fight Manny Pacquiao to officially be ruled the WBA champion because he beat Manny Pacquiao unanimous decision. So it didn't matter that he was elevated as super champion because he actually got to fight the guy that was the real champion. And he beat him unanimous decision, no questions asked. So with that said, no debating. With that said, after the fight, Yordenis Ugas and Errol Spence, they had a plan in place to fight February in a unification. Errol Spence would be back healthy. Yordenis Ugas wanted to fight. He's been wanting to fight with Errol Spence for a while. He was the mandatory at one point. And now the WBA president, Gilberto Mendoza, decided to make his presence felt once again and order that Yordenis Ugas fight against Stanionis in a mandatory mini tournament. So Errol Spence, he and Yordenis Ugas, and I gather PBC Premier Boxing Champions founder and advisor, Al Heyman, they paid Stanionis step aside money, so he agreed. So with that said, Terrence Crawford fans were not happy. And you started to hear Terrence Crawford's team, you started to hear the fans from Terrence Crawford saying they were going to, and they should boycott Errol Spence's pay-per-view with Yordenis Ugas. Okay? This started to gain traction. People started to claim that this was, this was should go on. You boycott Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas pay-per-view. Boycott Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas pay-per-view. Well, Errol Spence got wind of this. Somebody tagged him on social media and said, Errol Spence, we love you, but we boycotting your fight with Yordenis Ugas on pay-per-view. We're not paying for it. And Errol Spence, he responds, he said, that's just fine because I'm not asking you to pay for it. It's free. It's on free TV. It's not on pay-per-view. Wow. That really was a Debbie Downer to the fans because you're going to pay for it regardless because it's on your regular cable. So if you have ESPN, you have Fox, you have Showtime, it's subscription. It's on subscription TV. So even if you don't want to pay for it, you're going to pay for it. Why? Because even if you don't watch it, you're going to pay for it because it's on your subscription. If it's on Fox or if it's on Showtime, you're going to pay for it. Whether you watch it or not, you're going to pay for it. And so another thing is, why would you want to boycott Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas when it's a unification bout, even if it was on pay-per-view, in leading up into the Terrence Crawford fight, making the Terrence Crawford fight that much bigger? Now, I did a video, a live stream last night, and I told you guys that Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is on the verge of happening October, November time. Here goes another indication that it's going to happen that October, November time because they're not trying to drain the fans for pay-per-view. Okay, Errol Spence, Yordenis Ugas, a massive unification bout is going to be on free TV. That's an indication that they want to put all the money, all the coins into the promotion of Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. Also, they want to put the money into Terrence Crawford's pockets because it's probably going to be tough negotiating with Terrence Crawford, where we know Errol Spence is wanting a 60-40 split because of his hard work and his commitment, to building his brand, which he's done so and is shown in the pay-per-view numbers. And Terrence Crawford wants a 50-50 split or 60-40 in his favor. Errol Spence said it should be 60-40 in my favor. Nonetheless, this is a situation where they're going to have to go into their pockets for Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, the promotion, the purses, so on and so forth. Obviously, this all hinges on Errol Spence beating Yordenis Ugas, as most people expect him to do. It's not a walk in the park. It's just stylistically, Errol Spence's style matches up great with the style of Yordenis Ugas. Okay, Errol Spence is a big, strong southpaw that's technically sound, very skilled with a beautiful jab. Yordenis Ugas is a big welterweight, but he doesn't have a lot of power. 31 fights, only 12 knockouts. That's a clear indication he's not a big puncher. When he fought Omar Figueroa, He was hitting Omar Figueroa with big punches, but he couldn't stop Omar Figueroa as he should have. He got a unanimous decision, but Omar Figueroa was a smaller guy moving up in weight. He was hitting him big and clean, but he couldn't knock out Omar Figueroa. That was a clear indication he's just not a big puncher. He's 35 years old. His style meshed perfectly with that of Manny Pacquiao because he's a skilled, sound, technically counterpunch boxer first. And that's the style that always has given Manny Pacquiao trouble. So it's not a surprise to see him outbox Manny Pacquiao because we saw that in the past. Guys like Juan Manuel Marquez, Eric Morales, Floyd Mayweather, boxers always give Manny Pacquiao problems in his career. Eric Morales beat Manny Pacquiao so easy he started toying with him in the second half of the fight. We know Floyd Mayweather clearly outboxed him, and it was an easy fight, easy night for Floyd Mayweather. And Marquez arguably won all 4 fights against Manny Pacquiao. He actually got up off the canvas being knocked down 3 times, and the fight still ended in a draw. So that tells you the counterpunch and boxing ability of Juan Manuel Marquez gave Manny Pacquiao problems. So the technical skill boxing ability of Yordenis Ugas was not a surprise that he was able to outbox Manny Pacquiao. It was that he was able to keep it up, and Manny Pacquiao didn't have much to give Yordenis Ugas to ever. In no time in the fight did he have Yordenis Ugas in a compromised position ever. That's what was surprising. That sometime even in the Eric Morales Mayweather and more so the Marquez fights, he'll overwhelm you with his foot speed, hand speed, and his power. At some point in time, you just have to weather the storm. Well, he never had a storm to give to Yordenis Ugas ever. So that's what was surprising and shocking. But nonetheless, Errol Spence style, his size, his strength, his technical, his southpawness is going to give Yordenis Ugas trouble. I believe Ugas' jab and straight right hand will bother Errol Spence in the beginning of the fight, but Errol Spence is going to make the adjustments and he's going to beat Yordenis Ugas. And they're going to put all of the money into the promotion for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. But now another big fight for Terrence Crawford is, it seems like he's on the verge of fighting Keith Thurman in July. So that's a huge fight, and he has to get past that fight. That's no walk in the park, especially if Keith Thurman turns back the hands of time. And he's younger. He's only 33 years of age. So we got to see how Keith Thurman looks against Mario Barrios in February. So let's see how this unfolds. But Errol Spence, Yordenis Ugas on free TV. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Wow.